So I decided to start working on the split mould for the hump. This is obviously the one that got damaged, that got pulled out of this split mould. The other half I've got in the vise, just over here. I've had to do a slight repair just here. It's really hard to see, but basically you can just see the outline of it just there. It's like a C-section just there. It's not really going to matter because that is all going to be covered with foam. This is the base, obviously, when it comes out of the mould. Along here, all the way along the edge, there's a really small lip. It's really hard to see, but it actually goes exaggerated out and around like that. So what I'm doing is I've just got a really small fine file and I'm just running along it just to try and get that little lip off. Yeah, that little lip there is just going to make it a little bit harder to release the mold. So you can almost see the transition where the little lump is. See that line there where the end of the file is, the corner of the file? That is pretty much that line that I'm telling you about. It comes out and then over. So I'm just going to pretty much get all that down flush, and then once that's down, I'll run over it with some 600 sandpaper. I'm pretty sure that is, yeah, 600, and then I'll hit it with some 1200. That'll get it down nice and fine. So after that's done, 6 coats of wax on both halves, this one and that one. So once the wax is on, I'll bolt it back together and I'll make another one of these. So I thought I'd explain what I'm doing here with this actual mould. Off camera, I've given it 6 coats of wax while they were separated, so basically 6 on each, and on the inside edge where the actual joint is also. So now that I've put it together, I've done another coat, a really heavy coat, and I've spent a little bit of time just making sure I got all of it in the gap, just to make sure that if the resin does get down there, it's not going to cause any problems. It could. I don't think so because I put wax in there, but I want to really make sure that this doesn't get any stick up. The last thing I want to do is, have to break it apart. And I've mentioned this in a few of my other fiberglass videos that I've done, in relation to how much wax you need to put on them. I've done 7 now, so 6 while it's apart. I've done another one while it's together. I'm going to basically let that go hazy and then polish it off, and then put one more coat on, and I'm going to try something different here. What I'm going to do is leave the actual wax on when I do the actual fiberglassing, so I'm not going to buff it off the last time. You can use PVA glue to do exactly what I'm trying to do here. However, this wax reacts with PVA glue, so I found out, I did some research. So I do know you can use a PVA glue in some circumstances, but just not with this wax that I'm using. So I'm going to use the actual haziness of the wax itself to react like the PVA would. It's going to be a barrier between this and the actual fiberglass piece that I take out of it. I'm hoping it works. It's a trial and error thing. Let's see if it works and hope for the best, I guess. So I've let this cure for a few hours now, and now for the moment of truth. So yeah, I'd highly recommend doing that if you're going to give this a go. So the main reason that I actually made a mold was so that I could try different ways of having the same hump and different variations, like the one that has the lines here. One that's going to be covered in suede, one that's going to be painted. Obviously I'm going to do the glove compartment in one of them, or probably all of them, and show that process. It's just so that I can try different things and then show the process on how I do that, in case anyone else is interested in knowing how to do this for their own build. If you just wanted to make a one-off and you have no interest in making any more, then probably the best thing to do is make a plug. Actually, I've done a video on that, showing how to make a plug out of foam, covering the plug in fiberglass and then pretty much sanding that back and then bogging it up, as in body filler, and then paint it or cover it, and that'll be it, rather than making a mold, because it's a fairly big process to actually make one of these molds and then go through that to actually just get that piece. So this is the ultimate way to do it, because you get a real perfect piece. But if you really don't want to do that, then I totally understand. So go and watch the video on how to make a plug out of foam. Just a little side project that I started working on to make life a little bit easier in the workshop while I'm filming is this thing here. It's just an old sign stand, and it's real wobbly. I want to use it to replace my tripod, and I'm going to mount my magic arm to this and pretty much have the camera hanging off that. You can see my magic arm sitting over there. Actually, it's got a pair of vice grips on it because it just broke the other day. Now for the ultimate test to see if what I did made it a bit more rigid. I have two of them, so I have it to compare to. That's as it was. It's pretty damn wobbly. And then, so it just actually came off the ground then. If I push it off the ground, it's obviously going to wobble, but by itself, it's secure. I think it's a winner. So that'll help me heaps. Just saves me having, you can see the difference. The tripod, obviously the legs are there and there. That is the real estate it takes up every single time I have the camera in its position. So much better to work around. And I also have, you may have seen the video for this thing, the arm. I haven't actually been using that as much as I want to. I had some issues with it, just the actual joints, they kept slipping. So I put some grip tape in there, and then obviously the grip tape is like sandpaper and it just wore out the inside. So I need to come up with a better solution for that, and then I could probably use that a little bit more as well. But for now, that's going to do the trick, and I have another one to do, so I could possibly use that one for the light stand, which goes everywhere the camera goes. So the other day I ended up purchasing myself a relatively cheap overhead hoist. I bought one bigger than I really need, and what I'm going to do is mount a beam on my ceiling. So that's going to enable me to actually lift the bike up and obviously pull the engine out, put it on a table, rebuild the engine, do what I need to do, paint it, and then put it all back together again without actually busting my back to do it. So I'll share the process on how I'm going to actually mount the beam to the ceiling, how to support it, how to put rollers on top of the actual hoist itself so that I can actually slide it from side to side on that I-beam. So if you're interested in knowing how to do that for your garage, leave me a yay in the comments, and I'll make a video on the entire process of what I do to make that work.